Every week, a team might spend hours putting together a very detailed report. Now, everyone on that team knows the project it was for ended years ago. The manager who asked for it, well, they've long since left the company. And yet, every week, the work continues.
This kind of situation is incredibly common inside organizations. You see a process that has clearly lost its original purpose, but it just keeps going. And to understand why that happens, we can't just look at the process as it is today. We have to go back to the moment it was first created.
So let's stick with that weekly report. It might seem completely pointless now, but its survival isn't some random accident. It's actually the logical outcome of a system that is built to prioritize stability above all else. You see, most of these processes don't start out as pointless exercises. They almost always begin as very sensible solutions to very urgent problems. Imagine a company is going through a period of uncertainty. Maybe a critical project is falling behind schedule, or perhaps resources are being mismanaged. There's this growing pressure from leadership to get control and, more importantly, get visibility into what's going on.
So, in response to all that pressure, a new process gets created. A manager asks for a detailed weekly report to track progress, something that can hold teams accountable. This is a direct, logical action, and it's designed to solve a very immediate problem.
And here's the key. At the time, it's often very effective. The report gives them the data they need, the project gets back on track, and the crisis starts to fade. The solution is seen as a big success. But a successful action, especially one that gets repeated, tends to become something more. It starts to evolve from just a temporary fix into a deeply embedded pattern. That weekly report is no longer just a one-time solution. It's become a predictable pattern of actions. It's now a collective, repeated sequence of behaviors that lots of different people have come to depend on. And this sequence coordinates the work across different people, even different teams. The person who gathers the data knows exactly who to send it to. The person creating the report knows whose approval they need. The whole workflow becomes smooth, predictable. Once this pattern is established, it actually saves a lot of mental energy. People don't have to decide what to do each week, they just follow the steps they already know. And this frees them up to focus their attention on new challenges or things that are actually unexpected. Over time, a process like this becomes a kind of reflection of the specific moment it was born. Its features are basically an imprint of past conditions. The tools that were available back then, the specific goals of the team, the constraints of that founding period, all of these things shape the process's design. And those characteristics tend to stick around, even when the world around them changes completely. For example, the urgency of that original problem might be why the report format is so detailed and rigid. The software that was available at the time is what the report was built in, and now it requires that old program to run. And maybe the team that designed it is the only one that truly understands its logic. All these features persist long after those initial conditions are a distant memory. And as this process gets repeated, over and over, it becomes harder and harder to change. It gets deeply embedded in the organization's structure.
It all starts with that one simple decision: to create the weekly report in the specific format, using a specific tool.
But pretty soon, other workflows start to depend on it. Maybe another team starts using data from that report to do their own planning. A new software dashboard might even be built to pull information directly from it. The process stops being a standalone thing and becomes a building block for other activities. Eventually, people's jobs become linked to the process. An employee's performance might even be partly evaluated on their ability to get that report out on time. At this point, the pattern isn't just a workflow anymore, it's part of the formal structure of the team. And this leads to a critical tipping point. Removing or even just changing the process becomes incredibly difficult and expensive. It would mean redesigning all those other systems, redefining people's roles, retraining staff. The sheer friction involved in changing the system becomes greater than the inefficiency of just letting it run. And that brings us to the final stage. This is where the process continues to exist even after its original purpose has completely vanished. So, the project that started it all is finished. The manager who needed that data is gone. The original cause is no longer there, but the process? It's still here. What you often see is a gap opening up between the formal rule and what people actually do. The official policy might still say the report is required, but in practice, team members might complete it with a lot less care, reviewers might just give it a quick glance. The process lives on, but more as a symbol than as a useful tool. So why does it survive? Well, because it started to serve new, indirect functions. It provides a stable, predictable rhythm for the team. It continues to be a crucial link for all those other workflows that depend on it. And it helps maintain an appearance of control and order, which, in a large organization, can be valuable all by itself.
The survival of an old, outdated process tells you a lot about what the larger system is actually designed to do. It's not always trying to be as efficient as possible. Instead, the system often prioritizes predictability and stability. A process that seems pointless can continue for years simply because the cost of its inefficiency is considered an acceptable trade-off for the coordination and order it provides.